Hello and welcome to this edition of Talking Adoption. And today we are talking money matters. I'm Grace Gomez and I am the Adopter Diversity Recruitment Officer for PACT Charity, and I work in the Reading office, and I'm joined today by Mandy, who's the Assistant Service Director here at PACT. Thanks for joining today, Mandy. So, these are tough times that we're living in, and prospective adopters are, really concerned about the current economic climate that we're in and how that will impact their decision to adopt. So today we're going to discuss lots of things around adoption and money matters, and hopefully that will clear up some questions that people have. Okay, so Mandy, first of all, do you need to earn a certain amount of money to adopt?
No, that's the short answer.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no minimum amount. Having children obviously costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Having time off work costs money. So you've got to have enough money coming in to cover that, but there's not a set amount that you must be earning.
What about any existing debt that people may have?
Yeah, and I think lots of people do have debt. So things like mortgages, student loans, and that's okay. It's also okay to have other debts as well, as long as you can pay them back and you can do that comfortably without having any concerns or worries about that.
And is there a certain amount of savings that people need to have?
No, again, there's not a set amount. I think it's just looking at the whole picture. So, like I said at the beginning, it does cost money to have children. You do need to take some time off money. That, can cost you more money. And so you need to have a bit behind you. What if there's an unexpected cost? What if your washing machine breaks down or whatever that might be? What we don't want, again, is for people to be stressed, to be worrying about money. So having some savings is always a good idea. We'd always recommend it. But there's not a set amount, and everybody's different. People's outgoings are different. It's very individual.
So how much does it actually cost to adopt then?
Well, in the UK, if you're adopting a child from the UK, there's not a charge. So you come along to PACT and you'll have your adoption assessment, and there won't be any charge for that, or there won't be any charges for when the children are placed. There are some bits of the process that you will need to pay for, and those would include your medical. Each of you, if you're in a couple, would need to have a medical examination by your GP, and the GP will charge you for that. And the amount that is varies from GP to GP.
Yeah.
There might also be some other bits and pieces. So if, for example, your referees are abroad and they don't speak English, or in this country and don't speak English, then we may ask you to pay for that. Any written references being translated, or an interpreter, if we're interviewing them. There could be other bits, such as maybe if you've got dogs or particular animals we might be worried about, or you're worried about, we might ask for pet assessment to be done by your vet, for example. And if you've lived abroad, we will ask for an overseas DBS check. So sometimes it can be a small charge for that. None of these costs are hidden. We'll be upfront and talk to you about them as we go through the process. But overall, it doesn't cost anything to adopt. So
is there a financial assessment of part of the process?
Yes, there is. And I think that's helpful for us, and it's helpful for you as adopters. I think most people coming to adoption will probably have looked at their finances anyway. It's really good, like I said before, children can be expensive. You'll be taking time off work. And it's a really good idea to get a good grasp of what are your incomes, what are your outgoings. So we'll do that with you. We'll give you the form and we'll go through it with you. And we do verify some of those things as well. So your mortgage statement or your rent statement, your bank statement, just verifying what you've said. If you're self-employed, the other thing you might do is talk to your accountant.
Do prospective adopters have to pay anything during the process?
Just the bits that I've mentioned before. So medical, everybody has a medical, so that will be set for anybody coming through. And then there might be other bits, like I said, with the perhaps overseas DBS, if you need to use an interpreter or a translator, or any particular specialist assessments.
So prospective adopters, are they entitled to maternity, paternity or adoption leave?
Yes. So if you're employed, then you're entitled to the same, whatever your company's maternity leave is, you're entitled to the same to adoption. Their adoption leave policy should mirror their maternity policy. So yes, you should be able to get something through your employer.
And how much is the statutory adoption pay?
So that is for the first 3 weeks, 90% of your earnings. And then the next 33 weeks, it is £156.66.
Okay.
Again, that's the statutory adoption pay. Your employer might have different arrangements.
So it's worth checking out with them. That's good. Thank you.
Definitely,
Yeah. Okay. So are doctors entitled to any adoption pay if they're self-employed?
Sadly not at the moment. And I think that's really difficult. It does feel a bit unfair. But at the moment, no, not entitled to any support. So in those situations, you will need more savings. You will need to be able to cover while you're off work.
And what about post-placement? Is there any financial help available then?
Not per se. You will be entitled to claim any benefits. So if you're already on benefits and now you have a child, if there's anything else you're entitled to, you can claim with that. Be able to claim for the child benefit. And that's from when the child's placed. So even before the child's adopted, you'll be able to claim that. The only other way you could get financial support is through an adoption allowance. Those don't happen very often, and they're usually for specific children who have maybe waited longer, who may need additional help, financial help. So children perhaps with disabilities, large sibling groups. And it will be down to the local authority where the children come from to make that decision. And what will usually happen is if they think that they might be able to give some financial assistance, that would be means tested and it's reviewed each year. So it's not impossible to get, but it doesn't happen in every case.
So you mentioned the adoption allowance then. Can you just explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, so not all children will come with an adoption allowance. It will be very few children that do. Some will. Like I said, children with disabilities, because they might need additional support, equipment, or large sibling groups. You know, if you're able or willing to take in a sibling group of 3, 4, 5, that's going to be costly when you think about, just your car, and how much you probably need to get a bigger car. Maybe some adaptations to your house, that kind of thing. So like I said, it will be up to the local authority where the children come from to make that decision. If there's a possibility of an adoption allowance, and some local authorities do it and some don't. When the decision's been made, then it will be means tested. So you as an adopter, they were doing a financial assessment usually to see if you're entitled to that, and then it's usually renewed every year. Sometimes it's agreed till the children are 18, but often there's a review process each year.
And so people may have heard about the Adoption Support Fund. Can you explain what that is, please?
Yes, so the government have put aside a pot of money, which is called the Adoption Support Fund, and that's for children who need therapeutic support after they've been placed for adoption. So you don't get access to that money itself as a parent. What your local authority will do is apply to the Adoption Support Fund for some kind of therapeutic support, and that money is then paid to a therapist to do that support for you and your family. So it could be a range of different things. It could be Theraplay, it could be DP, it could be art therapy, it could be towards an assessment on your children, and there's an upper limit on how much per year your child would be able to claim for. Like I said, and then that money is given to the therapist to undertake the work.
Is there anything else that might be useful for people to know that you can think of in relation to their finances?
I don't think so. What I would always say is just give us a call, talk to the inquiries team. There's not much they can't answer, and if they don't have the answer, they'll find it out for you. So if you're not sure, then just give us a call. I would say is the best thing. And if you're in the process and you suddenly think of something, you'll have your social worker, so you'll be able to talk.
Okay, that's really great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mandy. So there's lots more information on our website, www.pactcharity.org. Thank you.